I'd like to welcome everyone to council meeting this evening. All council members are present and accounted for. I apologize for being just a couple of minutes late. Seems like I'm getting stopped more and more by people that want to talk on the way to, not here, on the way coming. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and have a Pledge of Allegiance. That'll be led by Ryan Tanner, and then we'll have Valerie Japer offer our opening remarks.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful that we can be here at City Council. We're grateful for those city workers and for what they do for our city. We pray that Thy Spirit may be with us here in this meeting, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Valerie. Thanks, Ryan. It's so nice to be able to just call on people to help out and spur of the moment, and you know, we live in a community where that's possible. Okay, are there any changes to tonight's agenda?
Item 10A has been canceled.
Okay. Not continue, just cancel.
Just canceled.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Anything else, council? Nope. If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion, Mayor and Council, that we approve the agenda with the cancellation of item 10A.
Second it.
We have a motion by Ben and a second by Diana. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Okay, we're going to have an open session now. This is where if there's an item on the agenda that is not a public hearing or doesn't have any kind of public comment, or if there's something that you wanted to talk about that's not on the agenda, please come up, and depending on how many of you are that want to speak, we're going to ask you to take 3 minutes max and state your name at the beginning of your speech. So the time is now yours.
My name is Mitch Waite, and it's an honor to be here among friends in good old Pleasant Grove. I'm here tonight because 30 years ago, I sat in the parlor of the Yers House Hotel with Elroy West Sr., Great-Grandpa West, and he taught me how to maintain that property. I mowed the lawn, I pulled weeds, I cleaned out the ditch. He even let me get up on a stepladder and clean out the gutters. It was a pretty big deal, being a little kid. And for the better part of 30 years, it's been my stewardship to take care of that property. Even when my dad bought it with Bill West and remodeled it, I was the guy in there scraping off 100 years worth of wallpaper and getting down to the whitewashed adobe. Then I bought the building, and I learned a lesson when I forgot to clean out the gutters, and they overflowed and the basement flooded, and when the basement floods in that place, it smells like raw sewage for 2 weeks. It's horrible. And Bill West gave me a talking to, and I learned as a young man getting a talking to by Bill West, that's nowhere you want to be, but I learned how much that building and that property meant to him and his family. When I bought the building, I was up in the attic one day and saw a backpack, and it turned out to be the World War I military backpack that Great-Grandpa West used, and I got to return that to the family.
Wow.
Of course, we sold the building, and the new owners have done a good job of maintaining it, but the reason I'm here tonight is in the few months that the city has been in that building, it's gone into disrepair. The ditch is full of weeds, there's a pile of garbage outside, the lawn hasn't been maintained, the sprinklers haven't been maintained, and I would bet money that those gutters are full of debris and will flood the basement unless they get taken care of. It's a beautiful building. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to the people of Pleasant Grove, and so I ask you to start early being better stewards of that building.
Thanks, Mitch. Were you volunteering to come back? And
I will. I was going to go climb on a ladder, but I
there you go.
thought I better not. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
The building is owned by Test Out. We're leasing it from them. The lease wasn't clear on maintenance, so Dion and I were talking about it the other day and decided that we better go in and take care of it. So we'll be doing that.
Thank you.
My name is Andy Waite, and I'm here to follow up with what Mitch talked about and let you know we were co-owners, by the way. Let the record state we were co-owners of that building. Thank you, council and mayor, for allowing us to give a few opinions here on something that's very important to us, and thank you for representing us. I want you to know that this is not a grievance. This is really just thank you for being our representatives, and let's make this right. I want to show you a few pictures really fast. This is a picture of our landfill, and you guys can see there that it's not trashy. It's kept up. They cut down the weeds. It's a place of business. You go to the next one. This is their sign. You know that there's their opposite hours of operations. Do you know what some of their services are? You know they're open for business. Next one. This is where we do our green waste. Look how lovely it is. There's not a weed in sight. Next one. This is the sewage treatment plant. Look at their grass. You know those places are open for business and have services to give. Next one. This is the corner of 100 East, 100 North. If Mitch were to zoom in, a child can't walk through there. They'd have to walk out into the road and into the weeds to get through that sidewalk. That bush is overgrown. Go to the next one. This is the entrance into the parking lot. The weeds are so high they're up to my mid-thigh. That is a paper sign that says, "Do not park here, you'll be prosecuted." That may be a city car, I don't know, but it was there for 24 hours. They don't care. This looks like a scene out of Hurricane Relief, out of Houston. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 trash cans, a sign leaned up, there's bar stools. That's the first sight you see when you walk in. This does not show me we're open for business. Next one. There's the dead lawn that Mitch talked about. Signs leaned up against the house. You can't see it, but there's a flower bed there full of bleeding hearts that we were told by Great-Grandpa West, don't let these die. And I want to let you guys know that so that when we see them on the other side, I'm not going to feel guilty about this. Okay, next one. Those are the weeds next to the lamppost. Are you guys getting my picture? Next one. Here's the sign. Now, when me and Mitch had the building, we weren't allowed to have a building permit unless the sign is permanently attached to the building or temporarily attached in an A-frame formation. I know you guys are experts at temporary signs. I see your names all over the city. This can get fixed. Next one. Sid, we ought to tie bows on those weeds. Next one. Okay, this is the street view. You can't tell if it's even open for business. We as a city claim that we have award-winning staff, we have award-winning services. This is not open for business in my opinion. Next one. There's Midway. Look what it looks like. That's a city that's open for business, and I go in here once a week and I deal with these fine staff, and they are ecstatic because they work in a little castle. Now, I brought you guys, I know my time's up, and so I'll finish, but thank you for your time. And I brought you, and I'm sure all you guys have one of these, but this is the standard for the Beers Hotel. This is what we as a city publish. That's the minimum.
Thank you.
Please do a good job. And if you don't take care of this old lady, she'll bite you, she'll flood you, and then you'll have to deal with Bill West because he's not going to deal with us this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitch. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Andy. Okay.
Can we have a discussion, Mayor, about what options we have to make that sign a little more permanent?
We done?
Are we done with the open session?
I'm Lindsay Swayze.
previously west, so this is something that hits close to home to me. My only desire tonight, excuse me, is really to further the plea of Mitch and Andy Waite about care and maintenance of the beautiful building on 65 North 100 East. I have personal interest in this building because in 1925, my great-grandparents, who were two prominent members of the Pleasant Grove community, Elroy R. and Lois Hayes West, purchased it and made it their home. My grandpa, Elroy H. West, was raised there, and all his siblings. Lois and Elroy Sr. lived there till they passed away in 1992. And at their passing, my grandpa then inherited the home and sold it to my dad, Bill West, and his business partners at Night West Construction, who operated their business there for nearly 20 years. And then it was purchased by the Waite brothers. So it has been, and it has been on the National Register of Historic Places since 1994. My great-grandparents were there for nearly 70 years. They took great pride in it and always maintained it beautifully. My great-grandpa had a magnificent garden that covered the whole parking lot on the north side, and he worked there every single day of his entire life. At 90 years old, he even won Yard of the Week. So it's been in my family for a really long time, and it has special meaning to me. It was in my family for a long time. I hear a lot of talk from you as a council about our community. Well, this sort of building with its long history and great heritage is, in my opinion, part of what makes our community so great. Right now, our community feels to be struggling a little. Recently, our entire downtown block was demolished, including one of our beloved historical community gathering places. And other city buildings are falling into unnecessary disrepair, according to a recent engineering study. Now that this home is under your use for the time being, I urge you, and really I'm begging you, please care for it and maintain it better in an effort to preserve our community's heritage and history of these buildings like this, especially since the Community Development Department resides there.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And I have pictures of my great-grandpa and his garden. I don't know if anyone's even interested in seeing that, but it was amazing, and it was... And these are pictures of him in his 90s, still out there working. And when we would go there to visit, he would take us and show us and, you know, talk about each kind of flower and plant. And, oh, here's a picture of him with his Yard of the Week sign. He's very proud of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Appreciate that. Would anyone else like to address the council? It doesn't have to be on that home. It can be on other subjects that are not on the agenda or not public hearings.
Hi, I just wanted...
Name?
Oh, Tamara Oborn. I just wanted to bring up the latest study about our public safety. PG got on the list again, and we were so excited, and we were talking about it in my neighborhood, and I was coming, so we really appreciate so much of what our employees do. We know how hard you work, and being one of the safest cities in the entire state.
Number 4.
Number 4 is one of the reasons why I love living here so much. So thanks for all you guys do.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back up here. There was a question as to whether we want to have a discussion. Is it on this item?
Well, yeah, this comment, these 3 comments we just heard from the public about maintaining that property better. I'd love to have a discussion about what we could do, what options we have to make the signage more permanent, to do greater maintenance on the property. It is a beautiful historic piece of land.
Perhaps that's just stated and make the assignment to staff to please clean it up and maintain.
We will do that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, we have a couple of consent items. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's consent items.
Second.
Motion by Eric, second by Sid. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, we have no appointments this evening. Now we'll have a presentation by Kim Schroppel on our Victim Advocate update.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Kimberly Schroppel. I am the Victim Advocate at the Police Department. I like to do my job. It's great. I'm the advocate for, I think we have roughly around 38,000 citizens now. So I'm the only advocate for our city that does the job I do. I'm honored, and it's a great privilege to work where I work and under the direction that I work under. So October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. If you see purple ribbons or anything like that, that's what that means. The National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, I'm going to give you guys a definition, defines domestic violence as the willful intimidation, physical assault, battery, sexual assault, or other abusive behavior as part of a systematic pattern or power and control perpetrated by one intimate partner against the other. So domestic violence doesn't discriminate. It happens in all kinds of families. It happens in all kinds of religions. It happens to everyone that you know, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to give you a few statistics. It's not a socioeconomic thing either, which I think that I used to be under the impression that it was, but it's not. I also was under the impression that it might have to do with, you know, religion or things like that, and it doesn't. So that kind of surprised me when I got this job. So just in 2017, we have had 280 calls for service relating to a family problem, a domestic violence, a protective order violation, or stalking. That's quite a few calls. Not all of them have been violent, but they have definitely been a call where our officers were required to take action and at least speak to the individuals or respond on the scene. I have a few national statistics on domestic violence that I'd like to share with you. 1 in 3 women will experience intimate partner violence in her lifetime. 1 in 5 women will experience intimate partner violence this year. 42% of all homicides are domestic violence related. Approximately 80 children witness their mother murdered, almost killed, or find her post-homicide every year. And on a typical day, domestic violence hotlines receive approximately 20,800 calls. That's a lot of calls in one day. The statistics were nationwide. They were done by the CDC and DCFS. So this year we've had the opportunity to partner with the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition. It's a nonprofit that's out of Salt Lake City. They are experts in, you know, trying to prevent domestic violence and to educate against domestic violence. They implement a lot of really great things in our state. They also are funded through grants and different things like that, which is awesome. Our partnership includes what we call the Lethality Assessment Program, and we're going to call that LAP for short because it's kind of a long words when you put them together. So this program came out of Maryland, and it has been evidence-based to save lives in Maryland. There are different lethality assessments. The Maryland model has been one of the top-notch models, though, for preventing violence. And I also want to include that domestic violence does happen against men. Men just don't report as often. So, but this LAP program it was created by a lady named Jacqueline Campbell, and it was, like I said, first implemented in Maryland. It's a 2-pronged intervention process which features a research-based lethality screening tool and an accompanying protocol referral that provides direction for our law enforcement and other professionals that work with the victims of domestic violence. This program will identify if victims are at high risk for domestic, like for homicides or being abused again, or if it's a more lethal type of violence. And it's been very, very successful in doing that. So this program, it has 11 simple questions that the officers ask when they go on scene. These questions are asked in a certain order, and the officers are then able to identify if that person is at high risk or not. We then coordinate with the shelter or with me as the advocate. I make contact always anyway within 24 hours But this time I make contact and I make sure that, you know, if they've had that resource given to them through these 11 questions, so going to the shelter if they choose. So Pleasant Grove, so what originally happened with this program, which was kind of exciting to me, is I had gone to a training and didn't know that my chief had gone to a training, 2 separate trainings, and kind of learned about the lethality assessment. Mine was an intimidating training because I had to sit there with about 25 officers where I'm the only victim advocate not in uniform. It was really fun. And they were all like, yeah, I know about this, you know, and I'm just like, oh, I'm on the front row. It was great. But we learned a lot. They had a lot of great things to say. I always love hearing what the officers have to say because they respond first on the incidents. I came to my chief and he came to me and we just started talking about what direction we wanted to go with the programs that I am, you know, helping with at our department, and the lethality assessment was brought up. We both said this is exactly where we want to go with this, and so we went and contacted UDVC and they came and trained us. We now have a few sergeants, both lieutenants, my chief, captain, myself are trained as trainers to implement this program with all of our officers. Officers get trained within like the first month, and they will start implementing these questions when they go out on scene. And then we can make contact. We have, since this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, this is the month that we are starting this program. We're super excited about it. I've even been contacted by other agencies wondering if we could train them. I will say that we are the third city in our county that's implementing this program. So it's kind of exciting. There are about 80 other cities in Utah that are working with this program right now. A lot in Salt Lake, other counties, and it's super exciting to be the third in Utah County to implement this. Excuse me. So I have a little bit of an example. The first time this was brought into the state of Utah was through Woods Cross Police Department. Woods Cross decided to implement this program. They got the training. Someone came out from Maryland and trained them. It was probably a week that they had this program. They hadn't even started it yet. They hadn't started getting the statistics or even asking the questions. They had a female that had been stalked by her ex for the last 2 years. She had been married to him. They had children together. He was videotaping. I mean, I saw this whole case review, and he was literally driving around taping himself, oh, she's not home, and just all this creepy stuff. And one day he decided to contact her and say, you know, I want to meet with you. I want to say goodbye. And she's like, okay, that's really weird. And she called the police department, who knew her well. They knew her because they'd had a lot of incidents with this family. And they responded. And they had a little meeting before they went out to her home. And the lieutenant that was in charge said, you know, I would like to know if we should implement the questions on this call. And they decided to do that. They asked her the questions. They defined her as high risk. They asked her to please not be home that night and to maybe go to a shelter or go to a safe place. So about a few hours later, they pinged the guy's phone because they couldn't find him. And they found him in his car. He had died by suicide. He had several guns in his car, several rounds of ammunition, and he also had video footage of him going into his home, his former home, into her home, and saying she's not here, dang it, and just going on and on and on this video. And basically they know that he would have taken the life of his wife, his ex-wife, and their children. So because these questions were asked, they were able to get her out of the home. So I believe this is a great tool for our city. I believe this will help, you know, save lives. And if not save lives, help for future, you know, so women can be educated and know that they have a tool, a safety tool, and a place to go when something like this happens. It's got a great success rate, and we are excited to do this as a free service to our city. We were trained free with no funding that came from our city. This all came through the state with that grant through Utah Domestic Violence Coalition. So I'm excited to get it going, and if you have any questions or, you know, anything, give me a call, and I'd love to talk to you.
Thank you very much. Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, no public hearings. We canceled 10A, so let's go to 10B. 10B is to consider for adoption a resolution 2017-055 authorizing the mayor to sign a professional services agreement with St. John Properties for construction of an elevator for the Pleasant Grove City Library located at 30 East Center and providing for an effective date. Scott?
Just a little history on this. We've been looking to put an elevator in the library for ADA purposes for the last few years.
25 years?
25? Ever since it was built?
Ever since it was built.
Sherry was able to get a grant through MAG, Mountain Land Association of Governments, that is a federal grant in order to put this elevator in. Part of this grant does require a local match, which at the time we were able to put together a local match. I believe the grant is for about $160,000 and our match is 65 or something in that neighborhood. About a third of the cost is ours and two-thirds is this grant. As we put the project together, we had an architect do all this, and he came up with the cost estimate. We based the grant off that cost estimate. And by the time we went to bid the project, it came in $100,000 over our $220,000 that we had set aside. So we rebid this project, I think 3 times, each time hoping that somehow that number would come down, to the point where the last time we bid it, we didn't even have a responsive bidder. At that time, St. John Properties approached the city and said that we'd like to help out. If you remember, we had an evening here at the library where it was our Harry Potter night, and they came to let us know that they were going to help us with this elevator project. And the help that they were going to provide is that they would come in and deliver this library this elevator. It would be nice if they built a library for us, but this elevator for $220,000. Which is how much our funding was set aside. So in essence, they're saving us about $100,000 because at one point we were trying to figure out how to come up with another $100,000 to get this elevator in since we had this grant. So when St. John Properties stepped in, that was a huge relief that they said, we can deliver it for you. St. John Properties has been working with subcontractors with the elevator company. They got the elevator on a discount. They have some of the subcontractors that are volunteering their time and their materials, and we have some that are providing those at a discounted rate. So if you look out to the banner that's out there, there's a list of the subcontractors and those that are participating to help deliver this. What we have in front of us is the contract with St. John Properties saying that they will deliver this elevator, and the cost that the contract is for is actually $215,499. So I just want everybody to understand the background. This is now our contract, our relationship between us and St. John Properties to deliver that. And there's some things that we agreed to. There's some naming rights and things like that that we'll be working on that will accompany that. But in essence, it's probably going to save us about $100,000 to enter into this agreement. Any questions?
Questions for Scott?
It's happening soon.
They have already started. So they were anxious to get started, and we said we need to get the contract approved there. They were willing to take the risk to get started because of their time constraints. So we turned them loose. And
so just a big thanks to St. John's, right? They've really stepped up and really helped our community in a lot of ways, and so this is one of them. I know our library appreciates.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
Eric, I know you were working on this. Do you want to start the...
This is good. I'm just appreciative of St. John's Properties.
We'll make the motion, Eric.
Make the motion?
I'll do the second. How's that? I'll let someone else make it.
I'll make the motion that we adopt Resolution 2017-055, authorizing the mayor to sign a professional services agreement with St. John Properties for construction of an elevator for the Pleasant Grove City Library, located at 30 East Center, and providing for an effective date.
And I will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second by voice. Diana?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Sid?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
And Lynn?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Good stuff.
Congratulations, Sherry.
And thank you to Sherry. Thank you.
Be grateful that the weather's been,
Yeah.
because the ACs have been.
That's right.
That's a good, oh, wow.
Thanks, Sherry. I mean, you're the one who got the ball rolling on this, so thank you.
Yeah, well done.
All right, item C is to consider for adoption a resolution 2017-056, authorizing the mayor to sign a general service contract agreement with Pacific Corp DBA Rocky Mountain Power to provide electric service to the irrigation booster pump operation at the water tank project and at the Walker Tank project, and providing for an effective date. Marty?
Mayor, Council, I love the projector, but I think I can do this without this tonight. That's not the right one. We
Have like a forward button or a back
I'm
button?
sure if you really wanted to, sure. Show that.
Well, you know, if you have pictures and you want to share them,
Straightforward tonight. Okay, for some reason it's not connecting up there. Does that say?
Go ahead, Marty.
Okay, this item actually is something that we very recently approved an agreement with Newman Construction to construct a pipeline, an electrical gray Schedule 40 PVC pipeline from essentially the Grove Creek debris basin to the new Walker tank site. It's approximately 1,450 feet of PVC line that has to be installed there to get power from the source to our future pump station that will be at the tank site, which will start construction, I believe, this week. We are, in order to do that, Rocky Mountain Power has an agreement, which is before you for approval, to provide power to that facility. And in order to do that, we've got to also not only install the conduit, but the power, and this is the agreement to do that. Essentially, this agreement, we originally started out asking for a lump sum cost for them to install that. It was around a little over $50,000 to get the power from the source to the pump station. In looking at this, they had another proposal, which is what you're seeing before you, which is that they would look at a monthly charge, a minimum charge over the next 5 years. That minimum charge is $411, which if you times that out equals $24,600, which is substantially less than our $50,000 initial buy-in if we just wanted to have them install it as a lump sum cost. However, there is also, in addition to the $24,600, which will be a monthly charge, if we use power, we also have to pay a little bit up and above that, and essentially they're kind of incorporating the overall project costs into providing power to this facility, which in our evaluation is a better option for us than to just make the one-time lump sum payment cost, because it will be less than our one-time payment. So if this agreement essentially is agreeing to that, and be happy to answer any questions that you might have about it.
Okay, council? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make the motion for adoption of Resolution 2017-056, authorizing the mayor to sign a general service contract agreement with Pacific Corp doing business as Rocky Mountain Power to provide electric service to the irrigation booster pump operation at the Walker Tank project and providing for effective date.
We have a motion by Eric and a second by Lynn. By voice, Diana?
yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Sid?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Motion is unanimous. Okay. Item D is to consider for adoption a resolution 2017-057, authorizing the mayor to sign a cross-access and parking agreement with PG Main 1 LLC for the development located at 45 South Main Street in Pleasant Grove, Utah, and providing for an effective date. Tina?
Mayor and Council, the resolution before you is in relationship, and it is the culmination of the development agreement which the council approved in 2016 regarding the brand-new building that's here on Main Street at 45 South Main. When that development was approved, there were some issues with access to the back of the building and parking requirements for the tenants of the building. It's a mixed-use project. It has residential on the top floors and commercial use on the main floor. The city at that point agreed that we would work out cross-access easements and also allow them to have a no more than 7 parking stall parking easement in the back of our parking lot here at the City Hall. It's basically the area adjacent to the landscape buffer between the 2 parcels of property. The parking easement specifies that it's no more than 7 stalls, that there is to be no overnight parking, and that if we have a problem with overparking or if it's abused in any way, that the easement can be revisited and renegotiated. The cross-access easement locations, if you'll notice on your map in your packet, are basically the drive aisles that are here in this parking lot. It's the entrance from First South, the entrance from Center Street, and the entrance from First East. The entrance on First South might have been changed by the Public Safety Building, but at this point we don't think it needs to be. If it does, we'll come back for an amendment. Do you have any questions?
Got a couple of quick questions. I don't see the applicant here, but I was hoping for an update on where we're at with that project and another project that's anticipated, and any sense you may have of whether this agreement has any implications for the upcoming discussions.
I can just tell you that the proposed project is still in a very preliminary stage. It has not been to any of our development review processes so far. The proposed developer has approached city staff with regard to some issues that they're going to have, so that one is not in the pipeline quite yet, formally. And your other question was?
I was just curious if in your opinion, this agreement obligates us to any specific details with regard to that discussion?
No, the easement itself refers to very specific parcels, our parcel number and the 45 South Main parcel. So the new development is not included in this in any way.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions for Tina? All right, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
Okay. Mayor, make a motion for the adoption of Resolution 2017-057, authorizing the mayor to sign a cross-access and parking agreement with PG Main 1 LLC for the development located at 45 South Main Street, Pleasant Grove, Utah, and providing for effective date.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Eric and a second by Diana by voice. Lynn?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
Sid?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Diana? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we're on to discussion items, which we have none. The October 10th City Council work session agenda. Have a redevelopment agency item to look at. We're going to approve some minutes. I guess that's it. Come back out. I don't see the...
So, Mayor, we don't have any agenda items for next Tuesday at this moment.
Are we anticipating any?
Right now, no.
Should we cancel the
Motion
meeting?
to cancel the meeting next week?
At this point, yeah, we don't have anything. We are planning on meeting on the 17th. We do have some agenda items for that, but we don't. Next week was a work session. We didn't have any items
I'll
planned.
entertain a motion to cancel that meeting.
I'll make the motion that we cancel the meeting for next week.
And I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Unless there was an objection, I didn't hear any. Okay.
Even the scouts are
They were nodding in agreement with that one.
I heard an aye. Get that guy in politics.
Neighborhood and staff business. I'm going to start over here tonight. Marty, do you have anything?
Just our update on our projects, if you would like them. 900 South, we're having a fun time trying to get 2 poles relocated with CenturyLink. They should be relocated by the beginning of next week. They were going to pave Thursday, Friday this week, but we've pushed that back 1 more week. So it's all graded out. Should be traversable pretty easily now. Everything's done. Just got to get a couple poles moved.
Are those the poles on the northwest side, like towards?
So southeast corner of Locust Avenue, 900 South.
Oh, okay.
There's 2 that are kind of out into the road beyond the curb. So 700 South, they're paving today the north half of the road.
No.
Yep. And so it's getting close. We still got to dig up the south half. It's been a mess there, but we've got a lot going on down there. So, but we're seeing some good progress, and we're shooting for the end of the month to get everything kind of buttoned up before hopefully winter will hold out for us.
Can I ask a real technical question?
Maybe.
So when I'm going, there's a red light, and I stop, I wait for the other traffic to come, and then it goes green, and so I know it's my turn. Do I stop at the railroad?
I would. Just in case there's a train.
So can I just say,
Heard of the lug nut rule?
for regular people, that's just not, that's not, they're thinking green, go. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, I would recommend that you still stop, but
Generally, the person with more lug nuts wins.
No, but they have set the construction light to go, and I was in a long line of cars, and no
They
one
win.
stopped.
Yeah.
Stop sign's still up for the tracks?
Yes.
Yeah.
But no one stopped.
We've had many emails on this subject
I'm
recently.
asking for a friend.
Oh, yes. Last name Anderson, E-N.
Anyway,
Have we sufficiently answered your question?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I'm just saying, there was a long line, no one stopped. So I would just say that if, because I know we have flagmen out there, so I don't know if there could be just but since
Yeah.
it's passing.
No, it's, again, we see 3 trains a week on that, but not that would say don't stop and look, just in case, but it's not a very highly used track, but definitely take a quick look and make sure there's nothing there and stop as it's,
Any other?
Yes.
I would like to encourage all the scouts to stop always at railroads. That's my public service announcement.
The Walker Tank, the walls are all up. They're working on getting all of the shoring ready to pour the concrete lid. So that's moving forward. They'll start on the pump station again in the next week or so. So everything's set, ready to go on that. What other projects do we have? First East, coming along good. 90% plans we should have in our hands by the end of next week. Open house next Wednesday night from 6 to 7:30, I believe, in Cedar Hills. I believe it's at the Golf Clubhouse.
In your email.
So, yeah. So if you want to attend that, encourage everybody to go there.
It's just kind of an update from where progress in the last one in June.
Yeah, so again, 90% plans will be done next week, so it's a matter of just helping people understand the scope of the project that will be completed. So, and any other questions, if anybody has any?
Okay, thank you, Marty.
Thank you.
Daniel?
Mayor, I appreciate the comments that were said at the beginning of the meeting. I'll make sure, please be sure that staff and I will do our best to honor the historic character of the building. Thank you so much for that. I took notes of everything, so we'll work toward that.
Okay, thank you very much. Anything else for you?
No.
Okay, thank you. Sherry?
I wanted to give you a little update on the construction. They have moved AC units, which actually ended up being a rather large job, but that's about as far as it's gotten so far. The predicted completion of the elevator project is late December, and I have talked to various painting contractors because 3 years ago, the council gave us money to put toward carpet and paint for this building, and we've been holding on to it until the elevator was worked out and finished. So I've been meeting with painters. We've already ordered carpet, and we have some minor construction things that we're going to be doing. So I've also been talking to contractors, and then we will have some interesting logistical things going on to get 90,000 items moved, books, DVDs, etc. Without new shelving. That's kind of tricky because you got to move it somewhere and then empty the shelves and move those. Anyway, it is a big process. We had a little bit of an intro to that process a week ago when the young women group from one of the LDS wards came and helped us move all of the junior fiction and nonfiction. And it was about 40 young women, and they helped us move that whole collection in about an hour and a half.
Oh,
so
wow.
it was.
So do you need more people for service projects?
We will, for sure.
Will you let us know?
Yeah.
So we can get the word out and help find people?
Yes, and it's going to have to be spread out a little bit, like I said, because we've got to empty shelves and then take them apart, and then so it's going to be
That's a great service project.
a little bit of a complicated process, but we're super excited to get it going. One of the things we're hoping to do too, and the construction projects are mostly being paid out of our fundraised money, just so people know that. We're planning to, if we can get the right bids, take the closets that are back there, that whole wall out completely. There are no bearing walls, we've already checked. And so it'll be more open down here. And we're hoping to do a few things here, not spending much, but a little bit to make it feel less basement-y.
So no hall.
No hallway
no hall,
there.
just all open space.
Right, that hallway, it's a lot of wasted space. And also I want to let more light in. I know some of you have been blinded, but, but, let more light in so it doesn't feel quite so much like a basement. And we're working on a few other things to do that, because this is where we plan to move the adults section. We want to make it a really comfortable place for people to be. Come here with their laptops or whatever, or the newspaper, and just get comfortable. Also, and I'm taking a little bit of time. Everybody was excited because we were getting done early.
We're still making good time.
I ran up to my office right before the meeting, and this letter was left on my desk. And so we have a literacy center that's in the upper level of the library. And what that is one person part-time operates it, and then she has about 50 volunteer tutors who come and work with kids, mostly kids, some adults, one-on-one, to help them with their reading skills. And it's I think they charge $5 in just for the book, or stuff they use, but for the whole time that they come. So a parent wrote a letter, and it says, "To whom it may concern. Last year, our neighbor told us about the free Pleasant Grove Library Literacy Program. They told us how much the tutoring had helped their son, and we thought, let's give it a try. Our daughter, Addison, had previously suffered from epilepsy, which terribly affected her reading and math skills. She was really struggling with reading and reading comprehension. She was at least 1.5 years behind her grade level. Even with additional help from school, she just didn't seem to be gaining ground. She was slipping further and further behind. My first interaction with the free tutoring program was with Linda. I sat down with her and told her about Addison and what our hopes were. She then met with Addison and assessed where she was at. She quickly got back to me and told me that she had a specific tutor for Addison. She didn't want to pair her with just any tutor, but the best tutor for Addison. That gave me great comfort. I really appreciated her true care and interest for Addison and her educational needs. We have now completed our first year of the Pleasant Grove Reading Program, and I'm amazed at how much Addison has improved. She is so much more confident in her reading and is willing to take the time to sound out words rather than guess. There were many many pieces to her improvement, but I attribute a lot of her success to the PG Library Literacy Program. Her tutor spent time getting to know Addison and her interests. She encouraged Addison and taught her many fundamentals that she missed. In school, they can't always go back and fill those gaps in. Thankfully, she got those at the library. I am beyond grateful to the library and her I'm beyond grateful to Linda and her hard work with her tutors and placing the best tutors with each child. Addison is still behind in her reading, but with her hard work, I feel more confident that she can get to grade level in her reading. She has developed a love for reading that cannot be taught but is instilled. My husband and I appreciate all that has been done for Addison and look forward to future years at Pleasant Grove Library Literacy Program. Sincerely, Jennifer and Tyson Broderick.
That's fantastic.
Thanks to all of the wonderful volunteers.
And is that Linda Butler who runs that?
It is.
Anything else for you? Okay. Scott?
Mine's going to be a complete letdown after that, so.
All right, what'd you do this time?
We just want to talk scheduling for the next few weeks on council meetings. So the 10th has been canceled. The 17th, we're planning on having a city council meeting. The 24th is our fourth Tuesday, which we usually don't meet. The 31st, of course, is Halloween, so we're not intending to meet that night either. And then November 7th is the general election, and we're not allowed to meet on that Tuesday night. At this point, the things that could come up would probably be more. Are you celebrating over there?
I did say less than 9 last time we met. Sorry, go ahead.
So we could have a planning issue or two arise, and so we would like you to just pencil in November 1st as a potential council meeting date, which is a Wednesday night, if we need to meet.
Did I hear you grimace?
Oh, I was like, mm-hmm.
Okay.
If there's no agenda items, we won't meet, but we just want to, we'll make that decision probably October 20th, something around there, depending on where we're at with our schedule. But just wanted to have the understanding of what our future meetings entail. So.
You know, you're right, Scott. That was a letdown.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Thank you. Did you have anything uplifting you wanted to share?
No, BYU lost on Friday, so I really don't have much to say.
2 letdowns in one
Yes.
evening. Okay. All right.
Let us know, though, Scott, if we end up with a meeting.
Nothing? Okay. Denise?
Nothing too exciting. The auditors are here. They've been here a couple of days. Be here.
Yeah.
So hopefully sometime in November we'll have our report. So.
Good.
Not November 1st, even if it's done.
Okay. Thank you. Dion? Nothing. Chief Mike? Chief Dave? I did speak with...
What does that mean? Like finishing it up? So you're testing it and.
Yeah,
And how many hydrants do we have in the city?
whole bunch. Between, what is it, 1,300?
1,800.
A lot of hydrants.
Yeah, can I just add?
Sure.
Just invited you to go down
Thank you for that. We appreciate it. Dave?
Take for lunch this Thursday.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Ben?
I wanted to say thanks to Dave and Scott for our second annual Economic Summit Friday. That was a great event, excellent speakers. It was really well done. Impressed with that. This Thursday there's not a Rotary event, so plan on me for the Chamber event. Normally a Rotary Club meets on Thursdays for lunch, but we're actually having this Saturday a luncheon of all the Rotary clubs in the state, and it's the first time they've ever come into the Pleasant Grove neighborhood to have that all-clubs luncheon. We're actually right across the border in Linden at Noah's, but anybody that's interested in learning a little bit about what Rotary does for literacy and other things, please stop by. I'd love to get you the details of coming to that luncheon. We'll have a number of amazing speakers celebrating 30 years of women in the Rotary organization.
Wonderful. Thank you. Lynn? Good. Sid?
Thanks to Chief Smith for his department in making us the 4th safest city in Utah.
Yes.
Technically, we should be probably 3 because they listed Lone Peak. I think they meant High Lone Peak, some entity out there. They're not really a city, so I'm going to bump us up to 3. So this is the second year that I think we've been 4th, and I mean, out of all the cities in Utah, that's pretty awesome.
That is.
And it was, and there was multiple things they based it off of it, and that's quite an accomplishment. So thank you, and thank you for the summit, and to Marty for all the road work, and just thanks for all you do. And we look forward to getting your area, cleaned up. So thank you.
Thank you. Eric?
Yeah, just real quick. Dion's usually pretty quiet back there, but this last week we had the Rediscovery Discovery Park meeting, and he's kind of the silent warrior that does everything behind the scenes. So if you have a chance, go up and thank him. I think we had Jim in town for some other items from Weathers back east, and he came and provided a great insight, and the kids really worked well with him and providing some new and fun ideas for the Discovery Park. So thank you, Dion.
Wonderful. Diana?
I have nothing other than don't cast a stone until you've been on 7th South.
But do stop at the railroad track.
Always stop at a railroad track.
Kathy?
Unless you're in a very long line and no one is.
Okay, just a comment. We've had some events take place in Las Vegas, which I know a lot of us travel there for various reasons, not just pleasure, but business and whatnot. We didn't know this at the time, but my wife and I were there on the 27th, which is Wednesday, and apparently this gunman had arrived on Tuesday and checked in, and then we left after our concert on Thursday. So to find out Sunday afternoon about what happened and the magnitude of what one individual is able to achieve, that's just what we know of at this time, it really raises the concern level that we are all responsible to think about the situations that we're placing ourselves, our families, and other people in when it comes to being aware of safety hazards or things that could happen. And of course, I think if you listen to the media right now, they would say ban country music because after all, country music was responsible for this event, and we know that's just not the case. It is individuals getting a hold of the kinds of weapons that they get a hold of and then perpetrating these horrific acts. We condemn those acts. We think it's horrible, and in no way do we feel anything other than sorrow for the people that have suffered so much. If some of you were affected by that, you have family or friends that were caught up in that, we sorrow for you as well. So thank you for that. And
one comment after that. I think this is a great time to mention that if you see something in your neighborhood that doesn't look right, or if you have a gut feeling that something's not right, call the cops, call the police. They have trained gut feelings. But when I just think of a guy rolling in, how many, 12 cases of ammo and guns, if somebody would have just saw it and called someone, just said, this just doesn't feel right to me. Anyway.
Thank you. Okay, we've reviewed the calendar. We have no plats to sign. We need to reconvene here as the Pleasant Grove Redevelopment Agency. So if we could have a motion to
I'll make the motion.
Adjourn and then convene.
That we adjourn as the City Council of Pleasant Grove and reconvene as the Redevelopment Agency of Pleasant Grove.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All unanimous. All right, we are convened. We have minutes from September 5th RDA meeting, to review and approve. Are there any items that need to be corrected? I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, make the motion to approve the minutes of the September 5th, 2017 RDA meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and now we need a motion to adjourn the RDA meeting and come back together as the council.
Made a motion that we exit the RDA meeting and we adjourn as a city council.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I make the motion that we adjourn as a city council for good. Tonight.
4 weeks.
For tonight, for the next 4 weeks.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
An hour and 10 minutes, Lynn, that was pretty close.